for a quick of our Torah. In this week's Parsha, we have the whole incident with the quail. The Jews were complaining about the manna. The manna. They're getting this food every day. They're being fed. Food tastes like anything you want it to taste like. And so it's delicious, it's nutritious. What? Yeah, you can lick the dishes. And they're complaining. They say, we had it so good in Egypt. And it's like, excuse me? Talking about the good food that you had in Egypt, the cucumbers, the this, the that. Guys, you were slaves in Egypt. There was a price that was being paid for that food. The price was you were a slave. The master could do whatever he wanted to do with you. Period. Egyptian slavery was pretty bad. And now you're complaining because you don't like the menu? There's by the way, a certain Israeli comic who pretends to be Moshe Rabbeinu, and he says, any other people, they would have gotten the manna, they would have been happy. You Jews, what did Jews complain about? Is it diet manna? Is it gluten-free? Is there ketchup I can have with this? In other words, but people are complaining. One of the hardest things for us is the concept of gratitude. To be grateful when someone does something for us. It's something that we have to teach our children from a very young age. To be grateful for the blessings that we got. A lot of people complain that we're in a very rough generation. We are in probably one of the most blessed generations in the history of the world, especially when we live in this country. Especially that. I mean, a lot of us can remember that when we were young and you wanted to look something up, some piece of arcane knowledge, you'd have to go to the library. And you had to hope that the library had that information where you were. But today, I have this little device I can hold in my hand. I can find that information out right away. What we consider poor here in the United States, trust me, 200 years, 300 years ago, they would have considered it wealthy. We live better than most wealthy people did in the past. And I'm talking about the average person. And even people who don't have that much. But we're not grateful. People are just not grateful. The Torah has nothing against us having a good life. The Torah wants us to enjoy life. But you should also be grateful for what you do have, and you should strive for something better. But don't complain when you get something like the manna from heaven. Okay, just because it doesn't look right doesn't mean anything. You're being fed, you're being clothed, you're being housed. And all that God wants from you is that you behave like a free person, which means something a slave does not have to do, but a free person does, is take responsibility for your actions. And that is the real complaint. The Jews are complaining not because of the food, but they realize the price to pay for it is I now have to be responsible for what I do, what I say, etc. I can no longer say, oh, the master told me to do this. No, you're now responsible for your life. And you have to take ownership of it. So that's what this whole thing is about. They're complaining about the food because they don't want to take responsibility for their actions. Something to think about.